as people hear about PDA, especially hearing about demand avoidance, some people are jumping to the conclusion of where they see demand avoidance, there lies PDA. And that's not actually true. PDA is much bigger and more complex than just demand avoidance. But the history of PDA, I think, is interesting and helps explain it a bit. And that was in the 80s in the UK, a predominant psychologist who was diagnosing children as autistic noticed there was a subgroup of autistic kids that were different than the majority of autistic kids, but very much like each other. And what really stood out to her as the dominant characteristic at that time was avoidance of everyday demands. She chose the name pathological demand avoidance because she wanted people to know that these kids weren't doing it on purpose. They just couldn't help avoiding demands. So she thought she was doing everyone a favor by calling it pathological. And there are people around the world who appreciate that name for the same reason that people know they can't help it. Most PDA individuals prefer other names, and the predominant one is pervasive drive for autonomy. And that's better not just because it takes out the word pathological, but the drive for autonomy is really more important than demand avoidance, and demand avoidance is generally a manifestation of this drive for autonomy. So it's more accurate.